What's up, everybody? Trip Morgan here for Panthersource.com, joined by my boy Billy for the Panthersource.com postgame show here in Week 5. What's up, Billy? How you doing?
How you guys doing?
It's good. It's a good day. It's another good week. Y'all be sure to hit like, comment, join our discussion. If you have any questions, be sure to drop those in there. Opinions, comments on the game, certain players, whatnot. Drop them in the comments. Join our discussion. We got plenty to talk about today. Another big day for the offense. I think that was probably one of the big takeaways, in a big second half by the defense, despite some sputtering early on. But we got a lot to get to. We'll start right off, as we always do, with this offense. Big day from Cam Newton. Huge, actually. And we'll just jump right into his highlights, actually. The last 2 weeks, Cam Newton is 48 of 62 for 671 yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 interception for an average 135 passer rating and a 77% completion percentage. He's red hot. This is 2015 MVP Cam that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, those are MVP numbers. Keep it up. I don't see why he shouldn't take the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going into a short week this week, and we'll get in that in a little bit. Going against another stout defense, and one of the things was last week we kind of hit on it. Cam and offense got hot last week. It was great to see, but we mentioned that was against a really bad Patriots defense, and this Lions team is not bad this year. Obviously, they were 3-1. They were 2 inches away from being 4-0 in that Falcons game, and the defense, they have a stout defensive line, and it showed today. They got to Cam. They had 3 sacks for 21 yards. But overall, our offensive line held up tremendously well for what I was expecting once again. But now they're getting ready to go against the Eagles. But Cam just lit it up again, 141 passer rating. And it's good to see it against this Lions defense, especially heading into a short week, back-to-back weeks like this. It kind of puts to rest those fluke talks we kind of talked about.
Yes, we played good defenses this year, and the offense just wasn't able to get it done. But the offensive line stepping up this past week has been really, really good. It's giving Cam time, and he's able to run the offense.
Yeah. He's been really good. And let's see here. And this is my biggest takeaway offensively, and I think it's a worry, and Bill Voth mentioned this on Twitter. The rushing thing, 28 yards is a problem. Now, granted, we're just talking about you're going against like the stature of guys like Ezekiel Ansah on the line and whatnot. Detroit's defense has a good front seven. There's nothing to take away from that. But it's also a good sign that they were able, even though they were held one-dimensional to the passing game, they were still able to move the ball that way. 3 out of the 5 games this year, the Panthers have had over 100 yards rushing, which is a good thing. And I think it's like 140, 126, and then there was 117. The Bills held them, which has a really good defense, to 77, and the other one was today for 28. Which this one's that's an issue. 77 yards against the Bills defense, or 77 yards against a good run defense is bad. That's not a number you like to see. And you actually mentioned you felt like McCaffrey wasn't in the game as much today. Not that he's been a strong runner to this point, but it gives like we've always talked about versatility.
Right before we went live, I said, "Hey, is there a snap count we can find?" Because I felt like I didn't see McCaffrey on the field a lot today, and it definitely brought a difference to the offense in the running game. There wasn't, except for the touchdown where he was able to have the ball pitched to him. He wasn't a decoy out there this week, so it definitely made a difference in our running game, I think, without having him on the field as much.
Yeah, and it's like we said, and we've mentioned it each week, and until it gets better, it'll probably be mentioned again and again. McCaffrey hasn't been as effective running the football as we hoped, but his distraction in the passing game and coming out of the backfield is paying dividends for the Panthers, and I think that's huge. We mentioned Ed Dickson, 5 catches, 175 yards. He wasn't able to get in the end zone on those 2 big plays, as long as 64, but he broke a couple of tackles where you kind of joked around and said, Greg Olsen catches that ball, he falls to the ground. It's a big play, but it's not nearly as exciting.
Yeah, I mean, every for years I've always said, Greg Olsen, he got hit, he's fallen.
Yeah.
Today Dickson was able to get those yards out to contact, and it makes a huge difference when you get that big play and you get the offense fired up, and Cam gets fired up, and then we end up in the end zone. Of course, Olsen did make those big plays, but he really, in my eyes, never had the ability that Dickson had that showed today.
Yeah, Ed Dickson was playing grown man football when he had the ball in his hands, outside of his speed, because obviously that he probably would have had a touchdown had he been a little bit faster. But he's a big ass tight end. I'm not gonna rail him after a 175-yard game at all. So I'm very pleased to see him stepping up. Rivera mentioned 2 weeks ago after Olsen went down, they played the game. I think it was the Saints game they played, and Rivera said he told the coaching staff he wanted to see them get Ed Dickson more involved, and we know Cam likes throwing to his tight ends, and clearly they got the message, and it's worked the past 2 weeks. He's been playing stout. Kelvin Benjamin, 4 catches, 58 yards. The touchdown pass from Cam, that was just absolute beauty. I'm glad he didn't drop that. And then the most notable catch for Kelvin to me was that 3rd down slant, which is his bread and butter. I mean, it's his bread and butter. So, which sealed the game at the 2-minute warning for the Panthers. Big catch. Devin Funch's homecoming, 7 catches, 53 yards. A great touchdown catch as well from Cam in the back of the end zone. Devin Funchess is Cam Newton's favorite target, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's nice to see the ball not be forced to KB all the time, and now that we see the skill that Funchess has and the hands he has, and he has speed, he's big, so it's really nice to see that he can use those tools.
Yeah, and I said this. I don't know if I was quite saying it in 2015 yet, so I won't claim that. But I know last year I was a fan. I became more of a fan of Funchess and his ceiling versus KB versus KB's ceiling. And KB didn't play in 2015, so that's not fair to KB to say then anyway. But last year, I felt like Funchess could be a better receiver all around. He just played bigger than KB. KB's a bigger receiver. They're about the same size. KB's got a little bit more weight and just stockiness to him. But KB doesn't play to his size.
Yeah,
going up for the football.
And that's
anyway.
what KB is huge, but he plays like a girl sometimes. Like just the way he's soft.
He doesn't get physical with cornerbacks at attacking the ball. And Devin Funchess, you saw him go out there today and just grab the ball out of the air and just the guy was fighting him. He was just holding it away from like a kid, like me holding a toy away from a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I would like. I would like to see a lot more physical play from Benjamin. But I just don't know if it's in him. But it's nice to see it come from Funchess.
I think bringing in CMC on that last slant to KB was a good decoy move. Yeah, anytime you have CMC in there, it's paid off to be a decoy. I mean, that kid, the attention he gets is unreal. It's great, and it's deservedly so. I mean, if you leave him, I'm waiting for somebody to mess up and just leave him in space because then he's going to make you pay that way. You don't want to give up the big play, but I'm seeing some of y'all comment about the sound earlier. That's on me. I didn't have the mics plugged into our actual highlight video on cam, so we were just sitting there talking to ourselves apparently the whole time. But it's fine. I've got it on this actual scene here that we're live on, so I apologize for that. Matson Adams, the only thing that bothered me was the Lions come back in the fourth quarter. That was a little bit disturbing. We actually, during the highlight video with Cam, we were talking about that a little bit with Shula. I love Shula's game plan, and he had some great, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about this again. He had some great play calling today. Especially getting Dickson open was a lot of that. Bootlegging Cam, a right-handed quarterback, to the left side of a formation it's not unheard of, but it's hard for a right-handed quarterback to make those throws, and Cam's making them. I mean, he's hitting them. And it got wide open plays. You saw the touchdown to McCaffrey. He motioned from the right side, came in. We had Stewart in the shotgun in the backfield, and it looked like an option to Stewart to pitch. And that all of a sudden it looked like it was blocked up, and then you see Cam look back right and just throws the ball. And at the time I was freaking out because I didn't even notice McCaffrey come in, and boom, McCaffrey's there, touchdown. And Shula did that constantly throughout the game, and then it seemed like midway towards the end of the third quarter, he got conservative and went to run the clock because we got up big. And it's like we were saying, I feel like he's a drive or two too early on going conservative. And I understand running the clock, and I'm all for that. But when you get 28 yards in a total a game in this game against this defense, don't take the momentum out of Cam and the offense's hands when they're red hot. Get that extra score and put your foot on their throat and be done with it. Don't mess around with it. Now it's easy to say this, and then if they stay aggressive, he throws an interception and momentum's turned the other way that way too. I see both sides of it, but when Cam's been this hot and they were having success, I just feel like they could have tried a couple more plays and motions that they were using before to, keep the foot down.
And that's a good point to make. Maybe Shula is scared of the turnover because Cam's been known to turn the ball over. But when he's playing how he has the past 2 weeks and the offense is clicking, and a run game isn't 28 yards in the game. You just have to keep the foot on pedal, and you have to just go ahead and end the game. Put another touchdown on the board. Yeah,
Daniel Coates just said a lot of 8 and 9 men in the box on first down. A little more play action would have opened this game up. That's exactly what I'm getting at. The 3rd and 1 on that it was a fake handoff play action bootleg where it looked like Cam was just going to run for the first down. Ed Dickson blocks for like the first 2 seconds. It was just a sail block just to make it look like a run. The defense commits, and he just breaks free, and that was the big 64-yard play early in the game. Those are the things that Shula is good at dialing up, and those are the things I think we should have taken more advantage of against these 8 and 9 men boxes. But it's like I said, I mean, I can see both sides of it. We won the game, but the fact of the matter is it took a 3rd and 10 slant to KB late to seal it, and that's down 3. And prior to that, the Lions have been moving the football, and the defense have been missing some tackles, which we'll get into that in a minute when we get on the defense. But they staged that comeback, and it just seemed like another cardiac cat game. And not that they're not fun when you win them, but you don't like to see. We saw this in 2015. It seemed like every week was that way.
Yeah, I like to watch them when we win. But
Yeah,
it gives me a heart attack to know that we changed what was working.
Yep.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, exactly.
And
My favorite motto.
Yeah, I would like to, even Cam's touch on the ball today is another thing.
Man.
I mean, when he hit Dickson, in that block, and then he breaks the block and goes for the route.
Yeah.
He was putting the ball where he needed to. He wasn't overthrowing. He wasn't throwing
He wasn't.
hard.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He had a lot of touch on when the ball needed to have touch on it, and that was something that we haven't really seen in camp. Not
since 2015. Yeah, in 2015 he showed great deep ball touch. That ball to KB, I can't harp on it enough. It was beautiful. Live, it's like we said, we thought it was well out of bounds, but he put perfect touch. I mean, it looked like, let's not get crazy, but it looked like an Aaron Rodgers touch. He just flicked his wrist, ball was up. I thought it was way out of bounds. It was a throwaway, and it dropped right in KB's hands where it wouldn't need to be, away from the defender. So, great stuff. Not Shula's favorite motto, unfortunately. No, it's definitely not. But we got to win. Like I said, I think he's doing a great job. We saw him use Samuel in a lot of his motions today. Actually, Samuel was in motion on that McCaffrey play. He came around like the end of the round, they faked, and then McCaffrey came back around for the pitch. So I still like to get Samuel to get more involved. Cam tried to go to him a couple times. He did have a drop, but I'd like to see him get more involved in that end of round rushing and motioning stuff. So that was all good. Let's see. A lot of defensive penalties early, totally out of character. Yeah, the 12 men in the huddle twice really kind of just is annoying. It's not even, you get a hold here and there. There's probably holding on every play. We always talk about in the NFL. There's probably holding on every play. But 12 men in the huddle is just discipline and mental error, and that's something that is not acceptable. Not twice in a game anyway.
Definitely not on your first possession.
Yeah, we hadn't even lined up to snap our first ball, and we've already got a penalty and drawn back. And right then you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a long game. And then, oh, here comes another one. And there was the holding penalty, and it was one thing after another. The Twin Towers were in full effect today, Matson Adams says. Yep, they were. It was a good all-around. I mean, you can throw the triple towers in there if you want. You got Ed Dickson. He's not a small dude, and he had a huge game. We'll jump all over to the defensive side of the ball. First thing I want to say is about, I guess it was after the first touchdown they gave up against the Lions. Luke Kuechly had a bad missed tackle against Theo Riddick in open space. And the defense as a whole had a couple of missed tackles to this point and went for bigger plays. You saw the camera when they cut back from commercial. Luke Kuechly had the defense in a huddle and was very intense, yelling. He appeared to be getting on himself some about the missed tackle, and he was getting on them and just coaching them up. Whatever he said worked, because after that, until about they went to prevent in the third, fourth quarter, they absolutely wreaked havoc, especially in the second half. 5 sacks.
Yeah, 5 sacks was huge.
Yeah. Luke Kuechly he had 8 total sacks, 5. Mike Adams had 6. Colin Jones 5. Shaq Thompson had a sack. Quan Short had 2, and he also had a strip sack, which was huge. It was the Panthers' first defensive takeaway in 3 weeks, and we've been talking about it. They were overdue. The Lions had led the NFL coming in this game in takeaways. Didn't get one today. We said the turnover battle would be big. The Panthers won it. They finally got that takeaway, and it wasn't at a big moment, but a turnover at any time during the game is huge momentum-wise, especially I think we were up 17-10. It was the start of the second half, right after we scored the touchdown, the opening second half. See, Munderland had a sack. Peppers added to his total. That man is an absolute animal at 37 years old. I'll say it every week, and I'll continue to say it. Mario Addison added to his. I think he had one early in the first half. A total of 6 today. Sorry, not 5. So definitely good stuff to see. What kind of worries me here still with the defense is, and actually looking at the stat, it's not too bad. 50 yards total they gave up, but we also made them one-dimensional. They had to go into passing way earlier than they would have liked. But you saw, again, gaping holes. Theo Riddick averaged he only had 2 carries, but he averaged 4, 3.7 and 3.1 by Abdullah and Zinner. But long runs of 16, 14, and 8. And I feel like there's still some gap issues going wrong with the rush defense.
Yes. And I think today was just poor tackling.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with it.
That was a lot to do with those long runs, because it wasn't that they were busting themselves, but they would make that one person miss, and then it was open field. So on any other day when we have our tackling like it usually is, I think we're good. But today there's a lot of lapses in the tackling game. Yeah,
and it's, we said it earlier. There's reading, getting Coleman back would be huge. Worley again, toast. Yeah, you read my mind, Rob. Daryl Worley did not start off good this game, and it showed when he got – the coaching staff even recognized it by putting Kevon Seymour back in. Last week, Seymour lost the edge on a couple of running plays, but as far as his coverage, he didn't do a bad job. You didn't hear his name much, and that's always a good sign from a cornerback if you're not hearing their name. Worley got picked on early and often by Matt Stafford, and you couldn't blame him. I mean, he was hitting Marvin Jones, Golden Tate constantly on the left side and just beating him up. And I pulled for Worley. Now, he did end on a strong note. Then he went back in. He did have the defensive pass interference that led to that first touchdown on the comeback. But outside of that, he did come back in, and he held his own against those other receivers. But it was, again, not his best game, and it's something we talked about earlier this season, but it's definitely something to worry about. I know you always mention something about the secondary, but I think considering we just we had to play Colin Jones today, who I was extremely worried about going into this game against Matt Stafford. He played well. I can't even lie. He did well. The newcomer, Jarris Byrd, former Buffalo, out of the Saints, he did well in his rotations in with Colin Jones. Mike Adams is playing good football right now. Big pass breakups at strong safety position. But overall, I think they did good. Worley did have some hiccups.
Yeah, I think he had 2 pass interference. But once you're beat, you might as well do it.
Yeah.
Just hit him. I mean, but he gets beat a lot. That's a lot of penalties. But yeah, Worley is definitely, to me, is the weak link in the secondary. But it wasn't bad. I mean, you're playing against Matt Stafford, great quarterback. They did well today.
Yeah, Worley is a good tackler, but struggles sometimes in man coverage. Yeah, and that's the issue. He seems to play. I think he knows he's weaker in man coverage, and I think he tries to protect the deep ball, which is a good thing. But I feel like he plays too soft at times, and he's always constantly getting beat on a deep hitch route or a deep out route. He's just always got 5 yards of space cushion between him and the receiver. But yes, he always makes the tackle. He rarely misses a tackle. So I'll give him that. I hope our pass rush is a beast. Yes, it showed up today. In the first half, it was not there, however, and it was worrisome.
Yeah, we roughed up Stafford in the second half.
Yeah,
he really had it was rough. I mean, he had to have his ankle taped up. He was limping.
Yeah,
so it made a huge difference when his back foot, he can't plan on it.
Yeah, and if I'm choosing when I want the pass rush to come alive, it would probably definitely be the second half in the fourth quarter. And it seemed like I think they had 3 or 4 straight defensive possessions where they held the lines to 3 and out, just forcing them from those big sacks on second downs and forcing them into long thirds. So they were able to pin their ears back and go. Worley almost reminds me of a safety sometimes in his coverage skills. Yeah, I could see that, Madsen. Keep pounding. Great show, guys. Will the NFL give us our respect now, or do we got to take down the Eagles first? Last 2 weeks, NFL chose the Pats and the Lions. Thanks, guys. Jay Spinks. Yeah, look, it's like we said earlier, the Lions – not having respect against the Lions is not completely misunderstood, guys. Look, we had one prior to this game. We had one good game against the Patriots defense is terrible. I cannot express how bad the secondary is. I went back and watched some of the film. If you follow us on Twitter, I post a lot of that stuff and clips up there. That secondary with Stephon Gilmore, who they recently acquired from the Bills, we're starting to learn why maybe. A lot of communication issues. He was supposed to constantly be switching. They called switches. He was not going. And those were the big touchdowns and big plays. That defense is terrible. And we were on the road again against Detroit, who is a good team. Now, I think you're going to start seeing more of that respect because Cam Newton is red hot right now. This offense is hot.
It is, but as a Panthers fan, you'll see the Panthers never get respect.
Yeah, right. And that's fine. I would rather have it that way.
Yeah, they're not the team that's going to be flashy all over the TV. They're just going to be the one that's quiet, getting the wins, getting the touchdown, getting to the playoffs. But they're never ever the favorites for the press or anybody picking them to win. It's just something you get used to as a Panthers fan, and it works out for us.
And at the end of the day, I don't. It's like I was just saying, I don't care what the media says about the Panthers. I mean, it's great to hear them showing love to Carolina. It's great to see them talking up about our players and our team when they're playing well. That's fantastic. But if our team's winning at the end of the day, whatever I say, Billy says, or anybody else, I don't care. I mean, just win. That's all I want to see. Keep playing like you are the last 2 weeks. I'm almost even a little bit worried because the way Cam's played doesn't even seem sustainable. I mean, he has been red hot. He's been dialed in. It was similar to 2015 Cam, but that's a whole other story. And he hasn't even really started the rushing threshold yet, like he did.
They were talking. They want to let that happen a little bit. It hasn't happened yet. So we haven't seen his whole game yet. Think he got tested today?
Drug tested?
Yeah.
I haven't got the tweet. So, Cam, this is a kind of a inside joke between Billy and I. We haven't talked about it on the air, I don't think. But for those of you that don't know, every road game this year so far, Cam has been drug tested for PEDs and like steroids or whatnot directly after every away game. And it's the first time since, I believe, his rookie year after the San Francisco game was the first time since his rookie year that he had been drug tested. And it happened again in New England, which is their second road game. I haven't seen a tweet. He actually made the post-game press conference today, so that probably means he didn't get drug tested. So, bravo there. Good job, Cam, not doing all those drugs. But anyway, let's see. Rob Piercy, yeah. Our defense has to create more takeaways. Daniel Coates said that, yeah, we completely agree, and that was something we mentioned. We were talking about going in this game. They had 3 straight weeks with no takeaways. This defense needs to create takeaways. If you're getting to the quarterback like that, the strip sacks have to come. We dropped. Now, I will say this. Each game we've dropped several interceptions. Luke Kuechly being one of them. It was probably the easiest. Mike Adams dropped one. Shaq Thompson missed one today. So we could have had the strip sack and an interception, and that was in the end zone. I think that ended up being the 3 points. But either way, we had to create more takeaways. We'll start previewing this. Do a quick preview against the Eagles today. Coming up, we got a short week. Play the Eagles. It is home. We're back home. Thursday night, prime time, short week. Philadelphia Eagles and another tough defensive front. Probably it's easy. I think, in my opinion, is the toughest one we faced yet this season. Anyway, this is a true, real good pass rush right here.
Yes, this will be. This team is well rounded on both sides of the ball,
yep.
As we were talking about as we were watching the last game on TV. The Panthers offense has to click,
yep, and
the defense has to make the tackles. This is going to be a really hard game, and it's going to be a big test to see where we actually do stand when we play that well-rounded team.
Yep. Carson Wentz today, they went up. They had a home game today. Our buddy Robbie was out there at this game. He's a big Eagles fan. We might get to talk to him some next week before the game for a little preview from his side of things. But Eagles beat the Cardinals today 34-7. Carson Wentz had a good game, 21 of 30, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns and interceptions, 1 interception, 128 passer rating, 122 yards rushing as a team on the ground. That's probably going to be something the Panthers, we mentioned earlier, they've kind of had some gap control issues. Missed tackles, I think, is a big one. We had Detroit beat in the backfield multiple times today. One of them went for a touchdown that should have never happened. Latulele and I think Bradbury both missed a tackle on that. But that's going to be something else to watch. But the pass rush is really what worries me the most. They have the rookie Derek Barnett, and they already had a good pass rush with like people like Fletcher Cox and whatnot. The Cardinals only gave up 2 sacks today, which is promising because they don't have a great offensive line right now either. Palmer passed for 291 yards on them, 28 of 44. He didn't throw an interception. He just had 1 touchdown. See, they only allowed the Eagles' defense allowed 31 yards rushing. So it could be another tough day running on the ground for Carolina. You think?
It could, but the Arizona backfield is broken right now. I mean, they got CJ2K back there.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
They don't have,
and obviously they were down way early.
They were down way early, but they don't have the tools that we have in the backfield.
Yep.
But yeah, their running game is really broken right now.
And I would expect, I would like to see anyway, Cam get more involved again this coming week, because if a defense is pinning their ears back, that QB power where Cam drops back real quick and then takes off, and they let the edge rushers come free, and he just takes off in the hole in the middle, that pays dividend. That's huge against aggressive defenses like Philadelphia. So I'd like to see that. We've been doing a lot of screens, and we've had some success with them with McCaffrey. I'm sure the Eagles will be watching out for this. But if it keeps the edge rushers, on their heels a little bit, that's going to help this offensive line, who, by the way, we didn't give them much credit earlier. Outside of giving up they gave up 3 sacks today, but they did a great job overall against this offensive line, I thought anyway. Yeah. I mean, if you keep Cam upright, it shows what he can do with time. I mean, any decent quarterback can. You can't hold a receiver but so long.
Cam had a lot of time compared to the last few weeks. There's one time I think we ended up getting a holding call. It was like 10 seconds before he even had to get rid of the ball. So they're doing better.
Yeah. Matson Adams, Bradbury had a great game. Yeah, Bradbury's been doing solid. He has missed a tackle or two, which I've been disappointed in, but he's also laid some people up, in space on like short routes in the flat. He's quick to get on those, and he makes some. He also makes some good open space tackles. Let's see, Michael Lanham. I think we are just setting them up. No way we have opened up the playbook. I can't disagree, because it seems like every week Shula has a new creative play or a couple plays, and it's, really with guys like Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Stewart, Devin Funchess, Ed Dickson. You have a mix of strong power guys who should be able to go up and attack the ball at the point of a catch, and then you have speed guys, and you have guys that are just gadget players.
Yeah. And that the end around option that we had with touchdown McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That was something we haven't seen, and that. You got Samuel, which we've seen him do the end around. We've seen him get big yards early in the season, and then we give the pitch right down the middle to McCaffrey. So there are a lot of gadget plays and a lot of movement that we can confuse and use our speed, and then we do have the power also.
Yeah, and that also goes right back. A lot of that goes back to Cam, because Cam has to make these reads on those triple options and stuff like that. He has to be able to read the defenders and which side they're taking. Now, look, sounds easy. You can watch the clips I post. It sounds easy. You read this guy. If he goes that way, you pitch the other way. When it's live and you've got 3 guys coming at you, each one of those guys is supposed to take somebody. But it's up to Cam, like, again, with the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Cam sold juking left to go to the end zone, and then he came back and flipped back to McCaffrey and gave him the free. Cam's just reading everything perfectly right now as far as that goes. He was going through his progressions today, which is great to see. I talked about him looking off the safety on the seam pass to Ed Dickson. He's looking off guys on the Funchess touchdown. He clearly wanted to go right to McCaffrey, or I think it was Russell Shepard over there. It wasn't there. He had time. He didn't panic. He turned back left and threw a great ball where only Devin Funchess could catch it in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it's from 3 weeks ago when all I talked about was, Cam just stares somebody down before he snaps the ball. He knows he's passing. It's a huge step, and it's working. And hopefully he doesn't, backstep, and he continues to work on that and get better at it. Yeah,
Rob Piercy commenting again, Matt Cleo might have a long day. Yeah, we could probably see some jumbo formations, 2 tight ends on the left side, possibly helping out that pass rush, because he's going to face some speed and power rushers.
Well, the thing is with Dickson, he's known as a blocker,
and we've talked about that all preseason.
Yeah, so he's known as the blocker. And they were even talking about today when he was on the Baltimore Ravens, he was blocking tight end. Now he comes here, he shows he can pass the ball, he's got good hands. But if we need to have a better running game, he's there, and he's a very good blocker. So, there's multiple ways to use Dickson, and today we know he can block, and now we know he can catch and run.
Yeah, Michael Lanham's asking about a prediction for Thursday night. Do you have one right now? Do you feel comfortable saying one right now?
Well,
I'm kind of on the fence about this one, guys. I'll be real honest.
Here's how my predictions go. Remember I said 3 weeks ago we'd be 2-3?
Yeah.
after the Eagles game. So now we've won both of the games, so we would lose.
And it's a home game. That's nice for the
I think
Carolina.
it's going to be high scoring.
You think so?
I think it'll be high
I
scoring.
mean, it makes sense. We got two good defenses. Why would it be a low scoring game, right? It's like the Bucks Patriots game on Thursday night. Which, thank you, Patriots. I hate saying that. I just hate saying it, but I can't pull for the Bucks there. But you had the two worst passing defenses, and a total of like 23 points scored between the two teams.
I don't think it's going to be that game.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, these are two good defenses.
Yeah, these are good too. But our secondary is questionable.
Yeah, but it's all.
Wentz throws the ball well.
Yeah.
He's got Aguilar. He's got
Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith's a burner.
Torrey Smith. He's got the tools. I think like 31-27.
Who's winning?
I'll say the Panthers win.
Billy's going with the Panthers. If we lose, you can blame him because he's been wrong every time. Nah, I could definitely see the high scoring. I mean, the Panthers in the last two games have scored 33 and 27 for an average of 30 points.
And we stop them in the fourth quarter like we have the last 2 weeks.
So you're asking for another nail biter.
I'm not
cardiac cats.
That's
the mantra. Yeah, it seems to be the way of the world. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely. Oh man, I'm worried about this pass rush, and I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong in predictions this year. I was wrong against the Patriots one. I'm gonna go Panthers 27, Philadelphia. Can we have back-to-back scores? The same scores as back-to-back weeks. I'll go Panthers 27, Philadelphia 21. And the Panthers kick a late field goal. That wouldn't really put it away. They're only up 6. I'll say 27-21 Panthers, just because the offense is playing hot right now. But I will say this: I am worried about the pass rush of the Eagles. His O-line has held up good the last 2 weeks. It was impressive what they did today against a strong Detroit Lions defensive front, but I just need to see a little bit more before I can put so much faith in him.
And talk about Cleo. He was injured at some point. Did he come back?
Yeah, he came back. He came back, yep. Right. He did come back. We were talking about Torrey Smith. He had 3 catches for 70 yards today, an average of 23 against the Cardinals, along with 59. That's the kind of thing, the people that can stretch the field. Carson, I haven't watched a lot of this, and I'll try to get Robbie on some point this week to do a little pregame talk, because obviously he's a big Eagles fan. He watches it. He's educated on football. I'd like to know more about how many shots downfield Wentz takes and how he goes about that. I feel like he's kind of an intermediate passer. I don't feel like he takes a lot of deep shots. Alshon Jeffrey is not doing nearly what they thought he was going to do today. He had 3 catches, 31 yards. I have him on my fantasy team, which is another thing. I've got Carolina's defense too. Quit giving up the points late. Quit giving up the points late, guys. I'm about to drop you.
I don't
care. Just win the game.
We watch Red Zone, and I watch the games on Thursday and the games on Sunday night, but I don't. If the Panthers are on, I'm not able to watch the Eagles game. So my prediction is just based off what I know from my fantasy education.
Do what?
My prediction for next week is just what I know from fantasy.
Yeah.
Like I don't have.
But
time
yeah,
to
and I
watch
noticed.
other games.
Yeah, when we're out here watching like Red Zone, yes, like you said, you are constantly like talking about stuff in fantasy terms, and fantasy and reality are two completely different things in football. But there are some things you can try to relate to between the two. Who was that? Matson Adams said our screen game will nullify a lot of their pass rush, which is exactly what we hit on. The Eagles will see that on tape if they're doing their jobs anyway. They will see that on tape, and it might keep the heels back on them some. So that is definitely something to watch. The Eagles pursue, their over pursuit can be used against them. Yeah, I mean, like the screen games is big. This could be a Curtis Samuel type game where they use him on those end rounds or find him on a quick screen and he's gone. So thank you, Nick Folk. Yeah, God, that was terrible. They're out here recruiting ECU kickers. 21-17 Carolina is Greg Prophet's prediction. All right, look, that's the Panthers win. I'll take it. Hell, I'll take a 2-0 win. Brian Grady, penalties. Yep, we talked about that. That was terrible. They cleaned it up early on, though, so I can live with that, except for the late one against Darryl Worley, which is, I mean, he did hold him kind of.
Well, I was always taught play football. If you're gonna get beat, go ahead and commit the penalty.
Yeah, don't even give him a chance.
Don't give him a chance. Commit the penalty and don't give him the chance.
Yep. McCaffrey will be perfect against the blitz defense. Yep, completely agree, Mattson. Yep. Should start to see more of a Worley. We'll see. I don't know. I wouldn't be against it at this point. I think they're tit for tat. I really think that job could go up in the air. I would right now off of 2 games. My only issue with Seymour is he hasn't done good holding the edge on run plays. And when you don't do that as a cornerback, you're the second to last line of defense versus the safety. And a safety gets caught up in the pile somewhere, if they're up in the box, I mean that play could go for a touchdown. Whereas Worley is better with that. So it's really tit for tat. You might see him rotate him again like you did today for different certain downs. So we'll definitely see that. Billy's volume is low.
I just got to speak in the mic better.
Yeah. I try to tell him every time he's got to get up on it. But he just wants to stay off of it.
He wants to be like this.
Anyway, I think that is going to about do it for us, guys, unless you have any more comments or questions. We definitely thank you for joining us. But I'm Trip Morgan. This is Billy Harless. Y'all check us out next week. I think I will get Robbie. I'll see if Robbie wants to get on sometime this week and talk before that Thursday night game. We'll probably start doing these post-game shows a little bit later like we did tonight. It gives us time to finish watching other games, particularly like NFC South matchups, and it gives us time to get some stats and stuff together. Sometimes we've come up here in the past, and I'm sitting here digging while I'm trying to talk to y'all, and it just doesn't work. I want to be able to have some stats and some stuff up for you. Offensive player of the game, defensive player of the game. Who are your picks for this week?
Offensive player?
Yep. Dickson.
Defensive? Peppers.
Think Peppers?
Yeah.
Yeah, my initial reaction was definitely going to be Dickson, offensive player of the game, but I really feel like I have to give it to Cam, man. I mean, it's the easy pick, but Dickson was wide open. If he drops those, that's completely on him. I mean, and Cam.
I guess he had.
I mean, he was on fire.
I mean, that's just cliche though. Give it to the quarterback, but Cam.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hate the cliche move.
Cam gave the passes that need to be given, the touch passes. So
and then the ball to KB, man, that's beautiful. I'll tell you what, I'm cutting it in half and I give it to two.
Yeah,
cut the ball right in half.
Yeah, but yeah, Cam made the passes he needed to, but I think Dickson needed to step up when he had to. So.
Yeah, no, and he made some tough catches over the middle where he took strong hits. So I'll give him that. Like I said, I'd have to give each of them a game ball. Defensive player, I'm going to go with Kawan Short because he forced the Panthers. He actually had 2 strip sacks today. I think he had the other one too, I believe. But anyway,
no, Peppers
had
about the one where it hit the ground.
Yeah,
Peppers.
Yeah, Peppers. Yeah, you're right. Peppers forced that, man. So I'm gonna split him with those two. But Kawan Short's got home, and Thomas Davis was able to recover it for the Panthers' first turnover in 3 weeks on defense. So I'll go Kawan Short just to switch it up.
I'll just say we had 2 turnovers, but Munnerlin lost.
Yeah, Munnerlin got he went up against a grown man on the offensive line, and just his little man syndrome couldn't hold on to the ball.
Yeah, because that was our ball all day.
Yeah, he definitely jumped on that. But anyway, guys, I'll get with Robbie about getting a quick preview, and we'll do that sometime this week. I'll try to. But stay tuned here. We'll be keeping you updated all week on injuries and stuff. I'm Trip Morgan. This is Billy Harless. Thanks for tuning in to PantherSource.com. Be sure to share this, subscribe to all of our stuff. We're on YouTube, Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, dude. Look, throughout the game, I'm constantly posting stats and stuff. I don't do it on Facebook because it's not a platform really made for it. Private Munnerlin. It's not a platform really made for it. But follow us on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, it's at PantherSource. Just at PantherSource. So follow us there. But we'll see y'all Thursday. I'll try to get a timeout. It's going to be a late post-game show, so I hope y'all will stay up with us. But we'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging on.
Yep, see you later.